instant gratification, and I understand as we've highlighted at the beginning, like getting that sum of money to go towards certain life expenses because life is tough. Let's just be honest. Would be a fantastic bonus, but essentially, is it fair to say you are essentially stealing from your future self?
Yeah, basically. Well,
Is
it
it? I don't
depends.
know. It's just
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to say,
Hello and welcome to the Woke Finance Podcast, the podcast discussing all things finance and all things finance related. It's your boy Peter, and I'm with my bro, my co-host Jax too. How are you today?
yes, yes, Peter. Doing very well. Very good actually. As you know, once we get to the summer, I get really excited because it means we're quite close to my birthday celebrations. And this particular summer, something remarkable is happening. We are basically experiencing the World Cup. Both me and you are huge football fans, and I'm sure some of our guests are huge football fans as well. So literally, as we are even recording this episode, as soon as we come off the call, I'll be watching a massive game. So yeah, really excited.
And probably more exciting for you and less exciting for me. Ghana in that World Cup and Nigeria are not.
Yeah, but we also both support England, if I'm not mistaken.
I
But
like what
yes.
you did there. I like what you did there.
Yes, yeah, no, really exciting. Ghana, which is where I'm originally from. We've qualified for the World Cup. I mean, we've qualified, I think, every year for the past like maybe three, four World Cups. But yeah, the team doesn't look that strong, but I'm hoping that we can do something, maybe cause an upset. We actually get to play England, funny enough. So yeah, really excited to see the outcome of that game.
Come on, come on, come on. That's gonna be a big one. That's gonna be a big one. But now talking of World Cup and people all over the world, we give a massive shout out to our listeners wherever you are in the world. We appreciate you. We appreciate your ongoing support throughout the season, throughout the life of the Woke Finance journey podcast in particular. You've been with us, some of you have been with us for many years, over the last 6+ years or so. So we really appreciate that. You might have noticed in recent time we haven't had that many episodes out. That's because behind the scenes, a few changes are taking place, which we are very, very close to announcing, which will hopefully be good news for some, definitely good news for Jackson, myself, and the World Finance team. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. But again, just a massive, massive thank you for your ongoing support.
Yeah, no, really exciting, Peter. I mean, probably by the next episode, maybe the next episode might be that announcement. Who knows? Let's see.
Come on, let's actually see. Okay, Jax, I mean, it's not a long one today. We're just going to react to some news which has come out. And yeah, it's an article about potential changes that could come our way. It's taking place in the UK, but we see all sorts of things happening all over the world in terms of things changing to make life, well, seemingly make life better for residents of that country. And in this case, we've got an article that's come out very recently, especially by the time this episode is released. And it's titled Young People Could Swap a Year's State Pension for £12,500 cash to get onto property ladder on the new proposal. So, Jax, do you want to break down this proposal? I don't know who Jax is.
Man, you've known me for 20 years, and that's probably the first time you I don't know what happened there. Oh, Peter, so yeah, I mean our listeners are all around the world, not just the UK. This is UK news, but the principles, ideas, and all that kind of stuff is global in terms of what the thoughts behind it. So I'm sure our listeners can definitely learn something from that, even if they are not residing in the UK. So my first thoughts, wow, yeah, so they're saying basically, the state pension, or if you're in America, that's what we call Social Security. You can basically give up 1 year's worth in the future and basically get that money today, and use that money to do multiple different things. I think the article that you were reading, Peter, talks about the property ladder being the main thing, but also, the proposition basically says that it could be used for basically anything, but ideally it could be used to pay down debts, get on a property ladder, pay down childcare costs and that kind of stuff. And the idea actually came from a think tank called the Social Market Foundation. So this is not government policy, it's not law, it's literally just an idea, but it's really interesting to discuss. So, what are my immediate thoughts? My immediate thoughts were this sounds good at first glance. I need to think about it a bit more. That was probably my initial thoughts. My immediate thoughts were, well, why would I not do that if I was someone who was struggling to go on a property ladder or didn't have a lot of liquidity, which essentially means cash available on hand to do stuff? Why would I not give up 1 year's worth of state pension in the future to have that money today? That's my first thoughts, but that's very much me specifically and individually. Whether that makes sense for everyone else is something that we can discuss.
Jax, let's do discuss this. I mean, as ever with these ideas, there's always pros and cons. And I think that's why, an episode like this is key because it gets to think about different sides of things. And then, most importantly, it gets to take into consideration people's personal circumstances. So let's maybe break it down, I guess. I mean, immediately, why might this be all come across or appear to be somewhat actually a really good idea? I mean, £12,500 cash today. I don't know that many people that will say no to that.
Yeah. Well, look, first and foremost, let's think about the property and getting on the property ladder. Here in the UK and across the world, it's become extremely difficult to get on a property ladder. And actually, trying to get your first home, often two things have to be true, or quite a few things, but two main things. The first one is actually being able to save a deposit for that property, which is often 10 to 15% of the value of the home. And then the next one is actually the affordability, earning enough so that the bank can lend you a multiple of your earnings as basically a loan, a mortgage. So one part of that, as I said, is the deposit, and actually you find that probably for a lot of people that is the bigger challenge. And essentially, if we're able to, you know, basically withdraw uh, £12,500, that could really help boost people's ability to get that kind of initial deposit. So yeah, at first glance that is absolutely fine. And I guess that's a problem that is going to face. But already my financial economist mind is ringing bells. It's ringing bells as to why this may not work out the way it seems.
I mean, staying on the foresight, so to speak, what would you say to maybe, I'm generalizing here, but maybe the slightly older generation, maybe a few generations before us saying, gosh, man, what happens to good old fashioned just working hard, grinding, maybe living below your means for a few years, especially when you're young, saving up a deposit rather than just getting a so-called hand-me-down.
Yeah. I'm sure some people are probably thinking that, but you would have had to live under a rock to not understand that we have undergone what people call the cost of living crisis. And ultimately, even if we look at property prices, if you look at multiple decades ago, the average cost of a property in relation to people's earnings was about four times, right? So let's say if the average wage was £25,000, then the average property price would have been £100,000, which is four times that 25. So you had to save less, right? Proportionally. However, now I remember reading an article not too long ago that actually that number has doubled. So it's not four times anymore, it's actually eight times. So to use a very simple example again, if people's wages was still £25,000, the average property price would now be £200,000 again,
Hmm.
making it more difficult to get on a property ladder. So you have to be careful with those statements in terms of good old just earn more than what you spend and save for a period of time. Though that is a principle we truly believe, and it's something that we should all aspire to do. And we at the Walk Finance podcast we talk about it all the time. It's still very difficult for a lot of people to get on a property ladder. Quite frankly, because the property prices are expensive. But guess what? Even life expenses are
Hmm.
quite high as well.
The reality is, as you said, property prices and life. expenses has far exceeded the increase in people's earnings and wages. And this is, even for people that earn above the average salary. So the fact is, it's very difficult. So a a one-off payment of 12,500 can do a lot of us some good in the first instance. But again, going back to where this payment is actually coming from, Jax, maybe can we just remind our listeners, in terms of what the state pension actually is and how, yeah, what like let's get back to the source in terms of what that actually looks like with delaying a payment of 1 year's worth of state pension.
Yeah, so the state pension is basically an amount of money that you will get paid by the government every single year, so long as you qualify. So, in order to qualify here in the UK to get any state pension, or social security, you would have had to work for at least 10 years, and you would have had to contribute towards national insurance, which is a form of tax. So that's how it starts. Um, to get a full state pension, you would have had to do that for 35 years. And the amount that you would get is actually very similar to what you're given up to get, which is a £12,500. I believe the state pension is actually 12,548. Don't quote me. But yeah, so essentially it's about the same. This is guaranteed, right? This is a guaranteed income that you get by the government. And not only is it guaranteed, it's also well, based on rules now, it's guaranteed to go up by often at least inflation as well. So it's an income that you basically shouldn't take lightly. It's something that you definitely can benefit from once you hit that state retirement age, which at the point of making this podcast, I believe is gone from 66 to 67, and is actually due to go up even more in a couple
Mm.
of decades to 68. So the age for which you get this state pension is also going up as well. But essentially, that's what it is. At that age, as long as you've done the necessary things like I've mentioned, you will have a guaranteed income for life.
That's interesting. As you're speaking, Jax, as you said, to get the full state pension, you need to qualify of doing X amount of years of working. This idea, and I don't know if it goes into it, but maybe there's a question to explore if it ever did pass through. Doesn't it assume that young people will essentially go on to work and qualify for the full state pension, if that makes sense?
Yeah, yeah. So it says basically, in order to qualify for this proposal, you would have had to work for 10 years. So
Understood.
yeah,
Okay. Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yes. That
yeah.
makes
So
sense.
the age range actually is that you would have to be between the ages of 28 and 40. So it's actually meant to be for young people. It's not for everybody. It's
Mm,
supposed to be a helping hand to young people, 28 to 40. And I guess 28 makes sense because most people, well, not most people, but you can start working. You become an adult at 18, right? So you assume that 10 years on that would take you to that 28.
makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what you would have to how would I, that is what you would have had to do in order to qualify for this so-called proposal.
Makes sense. Okay, fantastic, interesting. So I guess if there's any other reasons as to, why one might be for this idea. I mean, Jack, someone at that age, you know, it's likely, just looking at statistics that someone at that age would have, may have some debt, that they would need to clear off. And again, that £12,000 can be, for some people, be a bit of a lifesaver as well to really get people to kickstart in life, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, bro. I think if you can use it to pay down debt, and really kind of remove some of those strongholds on your personal finance, I think that's a fantastic idea. I think also if you are using it to pay, some people start having children around that age as well. So we know that raising children is quite expensive, and childcare costs have been going through the roof as well. So you can use that to pay some of your childcare costs as well. So yeah, I think absolutely, for a lot of people, that could be a very important and potentially life-changing amount of money to receive at that age.
Hmm. Now, Jax, everything that we've spoken about are usually are things that, would impact us in the today. And it makes sense because you'll be getting the money for today, but again, you'll be taking money from essentially your future self. 1 year's worth. The question is, how much would that impact one's life, I guess. But Jack,
Yeah.
before we go on to the other side of things, are there any final points in terms of why this might be potentially or seemingly a good thing for people?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to how the money is used. I think it's something that you can definitely use to pay down debts. You can use it to go into the property ladder. But there is a what's the word I'm looking for? Is not all sunshine and roses. I think there has to be more
Hmm.
consideration. I guess that's what we're going to look at.
Absolutely. Let's definitely get into looking at that. But Jats, before we do that, as you know, listeners, we give a shout out to where we have new listeners in the world or a city where we have listeners that we've not really given a shout out to in recent times. And this area, Jats, is called San Juan Bautista, which is a city in California.
Nice, nice. Well, California, America is very much on my mind because of the
Hmm.
World Cup. The World Cup is being held across three different nations, America being one of those. Welcome to the Work Finance Podcast. You are here with myself, Jax, and the co-host Peter. And on this podcast, we talk about all things finance related and all things related to finance. If you do want to know more about what we do and even get maybe a heads up as to what we are doing that we haven't yet disclosed on the Woke Finance podcast, do head over to our website, which is www.wokefinance.co.uk, and sign up to our mailing list. Again, that's www.wokefinance.co.uk. Make sure you engage with us on social media as well. We are quite active on there. So that would be Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. If you search for Woke Finance, you are sure to find us. But anyway, I hope you are enjoying the podcast. I hope you are gaining tons of value.
Come on, come on. A massive shout out to our listeners over there and all over the world. We see you and recognize you. So thank you very much. Now, Jax, this country has slowly been creeping and walking into a so-called retirement crisis. How detrimental can it be for someone almost stealing extra money from their state pension, which, again, the fact that we're slowly getting into a retirement crisis, surely people can do with every single extra bit of money possible.
Yeah, people could do with every extra penny, if I'm honest with you. There are so
Cool.
many things I can get into right this moment in terms of why we are. I think it's already started, to be honest with you. A retirement crisis where many people are struggling to retire. So by giving up a year, and I guess in the grand scheme of things, it may seem quite short, but giving up a whole year, that's 12 months of basically call it free money to some extent, that can really, really impact how long you want to work for as well. So that does mean you have to work for at least one more year, potentially, but depending on how life pans out for you. So yeah, and remember, I think the key thing here is that it's guaranteed. And it's also inflation adjusted, or it's an index, we say, right? So by giving it up, you're not really just giving up the 12,548 pounds that you would get. I think the key thing to really understand is, and I guess we need to know more details, but £12,500 today is very much going to be different in 20, 30 years time or 40 years time. So there's also some mathematical calculations that we can do to calculate the real values called present value analysis, which we're not going to get into. But I think the key thing to understand is, yes, for a lot of people, they will most certainly need the state pension. So giving up one year can be detrimental.
No, absolutely. And as you said, yeah, we're some people are struggling enough as it is. So, I mean, again, Jax, it goes back to that instant gratification, and I understand as we've highlighted at the beginning, like getting that sum of money to go towards certain life expenses because life is tough. Let's just be honest, would be a fantastic bonus. But essentially, is it fair to say you are essentially stealing from your future self?
Yeah, well,
Is
it
it? I don't
depends.
know. It's just
Yeah,
yeah.
I want to say yes and no because for me, everything we're discussing right now really comes down to one thing, which is how do you actually use the money? And not only how do you use the extra money, but also henceforth, what is your mindset around money? Now, if you want to listen to the Book Finance podcast, I'm quite sure that your money mindset is quite healthy, or I'm quite sure that you are learning principles and ideas to basically become much more better stewards of money and grow your wealth so that you will have a comfortable retirement by the time you get there anyway. So that is ultimately what it comes down to. And I think for some people, it will be detrimental and it will be a bad decision. For others, it will be a fantastic decision. And I think that's the reason why I can't give you a concrete answer as to whether people are stealing from their futures or not. Because in some ways, Peter, if people are intelligent and prudent and diligent and intentional and all the words that we use at the podcast, then actually by borrowing from your future self and using the money wisely, that's a key word, you can actually have a better outcome even in the future anyway. So that's something that I think needs to be thought about.
Somewhat controversial, Jax, and I'll pose it to you. Maybe you'll get what I'm trying to say, but I'll see if I can articulate it. Is it fair to say that the majority of people that will that may, let's say this idea came to pass, the majority of people that may take it on board,
I know where you're
it
going with
it
this.
it may not be for those particular group of people, but
Yeah.
it'll be for there will be a particular group of people who, well, fortunate enough, maybe come from affluent backgrounds and maybe not just affluent backgrounds, but are very much educated in terms of how they can use it to benefit their future. But you get what I mean?
Yeah, there's two ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's two ways to look at this because, firstly, yes, I'm saying this carefully. A lot of the
Mm,
time, um, if people are struggling to save £12,500, for example, for their home,
mm-hmm.
we have to look at why that's the case. Is it because of all the things I mentioned earlier, life has just become really hard? Or have they not put in place the mindsets and the ideas to be able to do that? And I humbly say, in humbleness and meekness say, I suspect actually a lot of people struggle because of the mindset as well. So by giving someone fish rather than teaching them how to fish,
Mm,
that may not solve the problem, um, and actually make things worse because now they've not used the capital wisely, but also they've borrowed from their future self, which starts to give this whole idea of short terminism or
mm,
buy now, pay later, basically. So many words we can use. Hyperbolic discounting, instant gratification, myopia, all these words are true emotional biases and cognitive biases that take place in people's minds. So we do have to be very careful when we are making these decisions. And unfortunately, it could be that the people that may receive this may not use it very well or will use it and not be able to fully benefit from it because their mindsets haven't changed. And actually, I suspect that by becoming more financially literate, um, and actually having the habits already in place. So if someone's already saving money, Peter,
mm,
but I just need a bit of a boost, that's fantastic. But if
mm-hmm.
you haven't saved anything, then as to be kind and to say it in love, I do have questions as to what's going on there. So I get what you're
Mm,
saying, and I guess the other side to this as well, is that there was nothing in this that said that it's going to be means tested.
mm-hmm.
So there are people that would receive that £12,500 that don't actually need it, and for them it's just a bonus,
Mm,
and actually they will end up using it and probably even benefiting from it even more than
mm-hmm.
a person that initially, according to the think tank, may have needed it. So yeah, there's a lot to think about there, I guess.
There is. It's really interesting. And yeah, I think you articulated what I was trying to say extremely well. That is essentially it. It's those mindsets, as we always talk about on the Vote Finance podcast. What is the mindset that even spurs you to thinking, why would I need this so-called extra money? And I think when you dig into the source of that, that's when you can really answer if this is actually a good move for my personal circumstances.
Exactly, exactly, and I think that's actually one of the thoughts that I had when I really started to think about this. I said to myself, you know, the thing about when money hits someone's hands that they haven't had to work for, or they think they haven't had to work for, sometimes our decision making can be a bit, how do I put this, a bit off.
Interesting, interesting. No, really interesting indeed. Really interesting. I guess another conspiracy thought is where does this stop? If it's all successful rollout, will they now start doing 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah,
Can
who
you
knows?
now start borrowing from your? Would that just become part of life? That's the new loans and stuff. But that's a
Yeah,
whole nother thing. Yeah,
yeah, Peter. I mean, look, I mean, I'll be interested to see how they feel about these things, and
yeah.
what problems are they trying to face, and who are they really trying to
Mm.
help out? Because
And who's not happy in terms of across government and stuff about this? Yeah,
yeah, what we haven't discussed as well, for example, is why would they do that? Because look, we don't just do things to help people out, right?
it's that simple. The
So,
money needs to be made somewhere.
or money needs to be saved somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And in my mind, I think, of course, we know that the state pension is extremely expensive.
Mm.
It's extremely expensive for the government. We are living in times where there are less working people compared to retired people or people outside of the labor force. And for those that don't know, the state pension, the way it works is it's not a fund, it's almost it's the people that are working basically fund those that are not working. So the problem that exists, Peter, is if there's so many people not working and there's less people working and less people having children, so less labor force, then who is funding the state retirement? And I guess that's what they're saying as well. It's probably best to reduce that bill or that debt for the government because ultimately that's what it is. So that's probably the real reason behind it rather than just wanted to help people. Um, but yeah, I'm not sure how helpful it will be because my financial economist mind is going ding 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 ding, and it's thinking if all of a sudden a lot of money is it's not necessarily injected, but a lot of liquidity is injected in the sense that you're borrowing from the future, and so many people now have an extra 12,500. Even if they are going to use that to buy a property, Peter, what does that do? Simple laws of demand and supply. The the demand for property goes up, which then, if supply doesn't go up, and we all know that's not going up at a fast rate, then the prices of property and homes go up as well. So have we actually solved the problem? By now people having to basically even fork out more money to buy property because property prices are higher. So yeah, that's my big reservation about the whole thing, particularly when it comes to property. That can even spike inflation potentially.
I love that. We've looked at the force side, the potential against side, but also maybe some of the motives as to, who might benefit, what bodies, part of government, all of that stuff might benefit from such an idea like this as well. So no, it's actually, yeah, quite interesting. Very
I
interesting.
do have a question
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on.
If you were given the 12,500 and
Mm-hmm.
£50 today, would you take it?
There would have been a time in my life I 100% would have taken it, but my mindset wasn't the right mindset behind that, if I'm honest. But that's not to say I would there wouldn't, even though I believe my mindset is obviously far much better than when it was in my younger years. That's not to say that it's a strict no, because I think, Jax, there's always, what's the word? There's always an
Nuance or
opportunity to,
opportunity?
yeah, there's nuance, but there's also always an opportunity to make use of that money. However, my gut feeling, Jax, if I'm honest, is probably no. I
Mm,
think with that state pension, it's almost guaranteed money that's coming my way. If I was to, and I use the word rob it, I'll probably put that in just myself. I'm not saying that's what people are doing, but if I'm to rob from my future self, I don't know where I put that money. That's not guaranteed that anything will come from it.
yeah,
Um, so don't get twisted. Like, they very easily, I can put it somewhere. Gladly can put
yeah,
it somewhere. In fact, I can put in some of my long-term investments that are already locked away anyway.
yeah.
But again, so
It's
I'll
not
have to really
guaranteed.
think strong about it, if I'm honest. What about
Yeah,
you? Yeah, go on.
no,
Sorry,
no,
actually, any reflection on what I just said?
yeah, no, no. Those are my first thoughts as well. But I did think about it a bit deep, and I said to myself, actually, on this occasion, I probably will take it.
Hmm.
And the reason why I will take it is because the way I have kind of constituted my financial plan, for the next decade, well, not next decade, next multiple decades until state pension age. I've actually done it in such a way where I've basically excluded the state pension from my financial planning
Yep, yep,
as if
yep.
it doesn't exist,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah.
So that shows that as long as I execute the plan that I've created along with my wife, then I wouldn't necessarily need the state pension, though it would be an absolutely amazing thing to have.
I love
Based on
that.
the
Yeah,
things you said, yeah.
absolutely.
So I would take it, and I'll probably use it to. Obviously, I'm already on the property ladder, so I wouldn't use it for that. But yeah, I'll be wanting to build a family, and I know childcare costs are expensive, so I'll probably use it just to pay at least the first year of nursery fees, for example, when I have children.
But I took think tank. Let's get this rolling, man. You've got a customer in the next few years, so let's get this rolling.
Yeah,
But no, you
yeah.
know what? Yeah, yeah. Again and again, for our listeners as well, it's really about your personal circumstances. But before that, it's those mindsets. Are the mindsets right? So if opportunity, because this won't be the only opportunity that has and may or will come our way as
Yeah,
well. But when those opportunities come, you are in a position to be ready to say yes or no with strong conviction
yeah,
in line with your personal circumstances. It's not, oh, yes, free money. I'm just going to take it. I have no idea what I'm going to use it for because I haven't got a financial plan in place. I don't know how it's going to benefit me here, etc. So, yeah, man. And I think when those mindsets, and those plans are in place, it makes the prospects of things like this quite exciting that you can talk about both arguments.
absolutely. And one of the things that I often say to people is when you are making a big financial decision, because of all the emotional biases that we have, because of all those cognitive biases that we have, you have to really take your time with it,
Hmm.
right? Don't go with the feeling. Oh, this is free money, and you feel excited, and you have that short terminism and that instant gratification pending, right? That's a gateway to very bad financial decisions that have really
Mhm.
bad outcomes long term. However, if you do take your time, maybe write down your decision on a piece of paper, read it, understand it, maybe even get someone to read or challenge it, to see what you're missing. That's how you make very good long-term financial decisions.
Hmm. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Jax, yeah, definitely been good to just break bread over this as well. And yeah, I'll be interested to see over the next few months and potential years where this conversation goes. If it does get picked up and if it does get push forward as well. At least for our listeners, you can say we've geared you up for this, but also for our listeners all over the world, we're going back to those mindsets which are needed because wherever you are in the world, I'm sure, yeah, the power, so-called powers that be in terms of government, banks, etc., they have some of their own schemes and stuff that they are whipping up for you. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's the thing, if to conclude, I gave an example like I would take it, right? And that's not everybody's decision. And actually, I wouldn't say that that's the average decision as well.
Hmm.
I think actually for the average person, they probably shouldn't, if I'm really honest with you. But one thing I would say, P, you mentioned something about these think tanks that all sound exciting and it sounds good, but there are institutions that have lots of these stuff already that people have already started, and I put these under quotation, have already started taking advantage of, which is things like buy
Mm,
now, pay later, right?
mm,
But
mm,
these have consequences, and also taking the 12,500 is not free. It's not. There's a cost attached to that, right? This is not free money. You are literally paying for it by not being able to receive it, this guaranteed money in the future. So really, really important that that decision is not made with our emotions. That's one thing I would definitely say.
which is harder say easier said than done, man. We're emotional creatures, so seeing the prospects of yeah that money just into our bank account or however they pay it, I don't know how they're thinking of paying it, is not an easy thing to make a so-called logical or a decision without getting emotions into it. So yeah, take heed of those words, our listeners. Take heed of those words that Jackson just said, because yeah, we
Yeah,
appreciate the difficulty in that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Brilliant stuff, Jats, man. Thank you very much. Always a good opportunity and a good time just chopping it up over some things like this. For our listeners, hopefully it's been a good listen for you. Please keep doing what you've been doing and with your ongoing support, chiming in, interact with us on our social media, whether it's like, subscribe, comment, but also send us questions and thoughts, particularly areas where you might want us to touch on our future podcast episodes. As Jack said, we've got some announcements that we're making in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. Continue being with us on this journey, and remember all,
Stay
stay
woke.
woke.